Hey friends, welcome to our ongoing discussion in 81 months of the Dao De Jing. So this week I've decided to make our teacher He Shanggong. He Shanggong, or the Riverside Elder, is a figure of relatively unknown history. He was said to be a Taoist hermit living sometime in the 1st century AD. He wrote a Dao De Jing commentary called uh, the He Shanggong commentary, and it's one of the first Dao De Jing commentaries dealing with the concepts of inner cultivation. Actually, well, it's really one of the first Dao De Jing commentaries, period. So let's see what He Shanggong has to say about the passage. Consider that always being without desire, one may observe that which is miraculous, and always being with desire, one may observe the border. Okay, so we're going to let He Shanggong be our guest teacher today. Okay, so the text says, the Tao Te Ching says, "Gu chang wu yu." So gu means like therefore or consider. Chang means always or constantly. Wu means without. Yu means desire. Yi can. Guan observe. Qi it. Miao subtlety, wonder, miraculous. Okay, so what He Shanggong says is miao. So that which is subtle is the yao. Yao yet. Okay, yao means the key or the secret or the key point in this case. In modern Chinese, it means to want something, but it can also mean key point. So in classical Chinese, a lot of the time, it's used to mean the key point or the secret of something. So that which is called subtle or miraculous is the key point that He Shanggong believes that Lao Tzu is getting at in this passage or in the Tao Te Ching, right? There's something about that which is subtle. So he says, "Ren chang neng wu yu." If people can always be without desire, 这可以观道之要. So then it's possible for them to see the secret of the Tao or the key point of the Tao. Guan means to observe. If you rid yourself of desire, you will be able to see that which is subtle and that which is miraculous about the Tao. So yao wei yi. So he says the key is one, right? Oneness. Yi chu bu ming dao. One, it's sent forth and it's called the Tao. So in other words, that Tao that we talked about before, which is the Tao that predates reality, right? So it exists before the creation of the universe. That Tao sends out oneness into creation, and that oneness becomes the universe, right? And so when we return our observation back to oneness by ridding ourselves of desire, ridding ourselves of thought, and all of these different things, then ultimately we're able to perceive something about the Tao that we couldn't otherwise perceive, right? We're able to interact with it in some way. Okay, so then I believe this is pronounced Zanchuan, Ming Shi Fei. So it basically means Zan means like proclaim, Let me see here. Just looking at this one this morning. Uh, it means like to narrate. So I think what he's saying is this means basically, but Zan is usually used when you're making a strong statement, right? So it means Ming. Ming means bright, but here it means to understand something or to be illuminated something. Shi Fei. Shi means in this case it means true, and Fei means false. Okay, so obviously in modern Chinese, Shi means is, but in ancient Chinese, sure often is used to mean something which is true or genuine, and then fei is something which is false. So ming shi fei means like you would become aware of that which is true and false. So in other words, if you want to understand the truth of reality, it's in this oneness that the Tao originally expresses at the beginning of the universe. So he says this can be achieved, this understanding can be achieved by you if you can observe that subtlety by ridding yourself of desire. And so that's He Shanggong's opinion about that passage. Okay, the next Chang You Yu, always with desire, Yi Guan Qi Jiao. Okay, so one is able to observe the border. He says Jiao Gui Ye. So Jiao means to return. Border means to return. It's something you return from, right? You go to the border and you return from it. Chang You Yu Zhi Ren. People who always have desire, 可以管世俗之所贵处. It means they can only observe those worldly things, those conventional things, those cultural things, and return back to their interest in them, right? So you don't, if you have desire, you always have the desire to do worldly things. You don't view the Tao. What you view instead is what people do conventionally in society. What you do conventionally in society. What are the normal behaviors that you undertake every day? So He Shanggong, his idea of always being without desire and observing that which is subtle, means that ridding yourself of desire, ridding yourself of thoughts, ridding yourself of motivation, and being in stillness, being in oneness, right? He expressly says that is the way that you can view this miraculous secret of the Tao, which other texts say is one chi, right? And then if you always have desire in the material world, then all you see is the things in the material world. You always be very interested in them. You get exactly what you want, but it won't help you to observe that which is miraculous and wonderful about the Tao, which is enables longevity, enables enlightenment, and so on and so forth. So, and from his perspective, it means it enables enlightenment to the reality of truth and falsehood, right? So that's very important, right? The real truth and falsehood, not the differentiation of different worldly things, but the big truth and falsehood, which is how the universe exists and then how the human mind, makes a misinterpretation of it. Now, this is one interpretation among literally hundreds of scholarly classical interpretations of the Dao De Jing, and tens of thousands of modern interpretations. There's quite a bit of difference between interpretations. So different scholars say that actually having desire could actually mean that you have to maintain desire to observe the boundary state of the Tao, right? That's what Wang Bi says. And Dao De Jing Chanwei by Huang Yuanji, it says that actually you have to have desire to observe a portal. He says the word jiao, border, actually is a stand-in word. If you remember when we were talking about the Nanhuai Qin's annotation of the first chapter of the Dao De Jing, he talks about the use of like Chinese medieval grammar, right? And in the medieval grammar, one of the major functions of a character is as a loan word to take on the meaning of another character, right? And so in this case, Huang Yuanji says that the word qiao or oracle opening, right, is actually the jiao or border is the loan word for qiao. And so what he says is actually you have to maintain desire to observe the oracle, the door that you pass through to be able to see the Tao when you meditate. And that door is the complete stillness and complete self-forgetting. So the meaning of these documents, actually, they're contested, they change over time, they're applied differently in different arts, and they don't only have one meaning, they have many meanings, which is why this text is so interesting. So this is a relatively short video today to discuss this passage. So we're moving toward the end of the first chapter of the Tao Te Ching. We'll finish it up in the next video, and we'll look at another source, maybe Wang Bi or maybe another one. And then we'll start with chapter 2 in December. But for the meantime, if you're interested, I have linked to my Substack where I'm writing about this and other topics. And I've also linked to the course for chapter 1, which we're going a week over. So the last episode is this weekend. And we've already talked about the etymology of the chapter, sort of general meaning of the chapter in week 1. In week 2, we talked about the Wang Bi commentary. In week 3, we talked about the He Gong commentary. You have all of those completely translated and ready for you when you sign up. In week 4, we talked about Huang Yuanji's commentary, which teaches internal alchemy meditation from the perspective of the Dao De Jing. And then going into week 5, which is an extra week this month, we're going to talk about modern interpretations of the text through one of the major readings of the Dao De Jing on the Chinese internet, which is a website called Wuqian Yan, or 5,000 Phrases, which is completely dedicated to explaining the Dao De Jing. So that's 4 weeks at the time of recording this video on the 25th of November 2025. 4 weeks of great content are already up. You've got tons of translations, 4 completely different ways of looking at the Dao De Jing, all of them very, very useful. And then after this weekend, there's going to be 5 total videos and translated documents for you. It's a super, super cool program. Then we're going ahead with chapter 2. I'm going to be doing free content here, free content on Substack, as well as these courses on Gumroad. So you're welcome to check out any of them. And it's you don't have to register obviously for any courses or subscribe or anything like that. I always appreciate when you subscribe to my channel. But if you think this is cool, this is worth following, no matter when you find it, more than welcome to check it out. This is so fun for me. Everybody else who I've been working together with has been giving me really positive feedback, and I'm delighted to be able to present this material after so many years of researching the Dao De Jing, both by myself and in groups. So anyway, lots of love. See you soon.